So what do you do when you're stuck in the middle of another cold, dreary, blustery Midwest winter? You book a trip to California, of course. I've been to LA many times, but never to San Diego. We had 4 full days to explore, and here's what we discovered during our time there. Our arrival day was a bit rough for a few reasons. For starters, we had to fly into LAX because that's where I got the cheap tickets from. But the Super Bowl was that weekend, hotel rates were obnoxious, so we decided to rent a car, and we ended up getting not just a taste of the famous traffic on the 405, but we got a full-on 3.5-hour full-course meal. After finally arriving at our hotel, we went straight to the Gaslamp Quarter for drinks and dinner. We didn't stay out late because it had already been a long travel day. The good news is that things could only get better, and they did. Friday was our first full day, and I started it with a really nice run along the Port of San Diego. If you're a runner, you'll love this area. There's a path that runs entirely along the water's edge, so you don't have to worry too much about traffic. After we grabbed some morning coffee at a very cool place on the water, our first visit was to the USS Midway. This is an actual aircraft carrier that has been turned into a museum, and it is one of the coolest museums you will ever visit. We spent 4 hours here and could have easily spent all day. There's that much to see. In fact, there's so much, I'm gonna likely end up making a separate video dedicated just to the USS Midway. We posed for some obligatory pictures next to the KISS statue, then checked out the San Diego train depot, which has some very cool tiling inside. There's also a visitor center here, and the woman working there gave us all sorts of helpful information about the trolley system. She also told us about the Stone Brewing tap room right around the corner. They're a big local craft brewer in San Diego, and we indulged ourselves in their outdoor patio. A quick trolley ride one stop down, and I felt the need for speed. We had to check out Kansas City Barbecue, which was featured in the iconic 80s movie Top Gun. The staff there was so nice, they even let us pose behind the bar, and the barbecue did live up to its Midwest standards.
We're trying to find the stairs that they're supposed to light up. No, these are not the steps we were looking for.
Hey, look, we found the stairs, and they were pretty cool. We were still hungry and checked out Seaport Village, which is one of several distinct areas along what's called the San Diego Unified Port District. We stopped at another brewery, Mike Hess, and paired our beers with some Quiero tacos before calling it a wrap on our first full day. I started Saturday with another run, and when I was almost back to our hotel, I noticed vendors setting up for a farmer's market in Little Italy. Since it was right around the corner from our hotel, we decided to get some quick and delicious breakfast there before heading out for one of San Diego's best-known attractions. Now, I grew up near Milwaukee, which has a world-class zoo of its own, but I had always heard San Diego's was better. And after visiting, I can see why. Besides naturally having great exhibits of animals, they have a lot of other amenities. If you have a hard time walking for long hours, there's guided tour buses that you can ride around. It's a great option because this zoo is huge, sitting on 100 acres of land. You can also take the gondola from one end of the zoo to the other and take in some great views. A really nice bonus is both of these are included with your admission. And that's helpful because food and drinks here are very expensive. But that's offset by the fact that you can bring in your own food and drink to save some money.
87 degrees. It's unseasonably warm here for San Diego this time of year, and you feel it a little bit, but you know what? When you've got adult beverages, it makes the zoo and warm temperatures a lot more tolerable.
After about 5 hours,
that concludes our day at the San Diego Zoo.
And headed back to the hotel to give our feet a break and rest by the pool. After a quick recharge, we hopped on some rental scooters and scooted through downtown San Diego, eventually making our way to a rooftop bar called Level 9, which is at the Hotel Indigo. Our next stop was the Courtyard, which usually has live music to go with its unique setup of old shipping containers and large murals. Unfortunately, there was no live music this weekend, but our bartender gave us some helpful suggestions. Sunday morning started with, you guessed it, another run. And we had decided this was going to be our relaxing beach day. We drove across the bay to Coronado to check out the famous beach and hotel. We started with some huge omelets for breakfast before checking out the equally huge beaches.
I know I look ridiculous right now. Well, depends on your perspective. Probably a lot of people I look ridiculous walking around with a sleeveless wetsuit when the water temperature is 60 degrees.
We walked around the hotel, which has beautiful grounds and views, then grabbed some lunch across the street at Blue Water Boathouse Seafood Grill. We wanted to rent some boats or go on a sunset cruise. Instead, we drove up the Sunset Cliffs and were not disappointed. Valentine's Day would be our last full day in San Diego, and we got up early to hike Annie's Canyon Trail, which was just a 25-minute drive away. You can check out more about the hike in my video about it. Just check below for the link. After our hike, we drove down the Pacific Coast Highway, passing Torrey Pines, and got the best breakfast at Snooze in La Jolla. Properly fueled, our next discovery would be a kayak tour along the La Jolla Cove and State Marine Preserve.
Well, Wendy's doing all the work. I'm just enjoying, I'm just filming.
That's right.
Let Wendy do the work.
I like it, I'm in charge.
I accepted the challenge of our tour guide, and after standing up in our kayak for 10 seconds, I voluntarily dove in. After drying off and grabbing some lunch, more tacos of course, we headed over to Seal Rock, and they were everywhere. While most of them were sleeping in the midday sun, we did find a pretty active and vocal bunch. We explored a little bit more of La Jolla before heading back to Sunset Cliffs to find a cave we had read about. While we did find the cave, we weren't able to get into it, so we found a place to ourselves near the edge of the cliffs. Unfortunately, the clouds moved in and they denied us another great sunset, but it was still a pretty sweet Valentine's Day and a nice relaxing way to finish our trip.
Happy Valentine's Day to us, not too shabby, right? Cheers.
Whenever we finish a trip, we talk about if we're coming back or when we're coming back. And there's so much more to do in San Diego than we had time to squeeze in. It's a definite when. But next time we're going to be smart. And first thing we're going to do is fly directly into San Diego. The airport is shockingly close to downtown and super convenient. If you want to avoid traffic and not have the cost of a rental car, there's plenty to do in the downtown area by foot, rideshare, or scooters. So those are the highlights of our trip to San Diego. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe to see more of our discoveries.